Hi, Room 17, it's Miss Long, and I am here with a message for day 27. So I thought in my message I'd be talking about a lot of art today, and I'd give you a little sneak peek of my very own sketchbook from high school. So as you can probably guess, it's very old. Let me bring it out. We'll be doing a color poem too. I'll be reading that to you, and then we'll be wrapping up with an art lesson on how to draw a still life. Since this week we're in the middle of our second Art History Spirit Week, and the focus, our challenge, is to recreate famous still lifes. But anyway, I thought it'd be a perfect week, a perfect day to learn to draw our own still life. Now here is my sketchbook. I'm going to move this agenda aside. This is an example of a still life. So for a little time when I was younger, I was into drawing vegetables, and I love drawing onions. I just love the shape, I love the color, I like the skin and how they reflected the light. So I did all this in colored pencil. Here's a little bit of garlic and the little shavings of the garlic, the skin, and I put it on a paper towel, the onions. So I drew this, when did I draw this? Oh, December of 1996. Wow, that was a long time ago. Okay, I'll show you one more, right? Ready? So this one is a bunch of different vegetables, different veggies. I drew some peppers. I love the colors. And I drew this in January 1996, so like not too much after the onions and garlic. Also done in colored pencil. That's one of my favorite media to use when I'm doing art, when I'm drawing, I'm trying to be creative. I love using the colored pencils. So I'm going to move right into our color poetry with one of our favorite books, Hailstones and Halibut Bones by Mary O'Neill, and illustrations by John Wallner. And I believe I was going to read pink, because I didn't get there. The last color I remember reading to you was red, so here is pink. What is pink? Pink is the color of a rose. They come in other colors, but everyone knows pink is the mother color of a rose. Pink is a new baby, the inside of a shell. Pink is a cooked shrimp and a Canterbury bell. Pink is peach bloom, gauzy, frail, the wind's exquisite wedding veil. Pink is a bonbon. Pink is a blush. Some Easter bunnies are pink plush. If you stand in an orchard in the middle of spring and you don't make a sound, you can hear pink sing a darling, whispery song of the thing. Pink is the beautiful little sister of red, my teacher said, and a ribbon girls tie around their head. Pink is the sash with a lovely fold you'll remember when you're old. Pink is the flower on a lady's hat that nods and bows this way and that. So that is pink. Now for our little art lesson, I want to talk about a famous artist named Paul Cezanne. He was an artist in France, and he lived from 1839 to 1906. And if you know of the artist Vincent van Gogh, you probably have heard of him. Paul Cezanne and Vincent van Gogh lived in the same time period. Okay, so let's show you a couple of his paintings. This one is called Still Life with Quince, Apples, and Pears. And the colors are just so vibrant and so rich. You could see the background. This is what we call our excuse me line, that line that continues behind these other shapes. Look how those fruits make a really nice, simple composition. They're resting on a plate. And this is a still life, so it's non-living objects set on a table, right, so they don't move. And then let me show you one more. Here is another still life that he did called Dish of Apples. It's a little more, you can see it's a little more complicated. So you see the fruits resting on not just a dish or a big plate or a platter, but here's some fabric that he put around, and then a little, it looks like a little teapot. Here's the, could be some wallpaper back here. It's a little more complex, right? Anyway, how are we going to get started with our own still life? Here's what you're going to do, okay? So you're going to get some paper. It could be white paper, could be slightly colored paper. I have some very light blue construction paper that I'm going to be using. Let me actually show you how your still life is going to look when you're done. We're going to have 3 simple fruit shapes with a background set on a table. This is one of the first ones I've done. I made these a long time ago. So you can see 3 apples, and then I created some patterns in the wall, and then also like a little tablecloth that the apples are resting on, and you can make whatever patterns you want for the wall or the table. And I made sure I layered my colors, not just simple reds, but I wanted some green, some blue. Here is another example that I did. Look at the overlapping shapes. These are overlapping too, by the way. So you have 2 apples in the front and then one sort of in the back. So overlapping always works wonders for an interesting composition. Again, I made the patterns sort of different for the wall and the table. Let me show you one more, okay? This is another one with 3 apples. I mean, you don't have to draw apples today. It could be oranges, it could be a pear in your composition. It's up to you, okay? So let's get started with our still life. So I have blue paper. You could use white paper if you want. If you use white paper, you can use this, you can draw with oil pastel or crayon. I have some oil pastels that I'll be using. And to start with your fruit shapes, I have a little cup that I was going to use to trace 3 basic fruit shapes. And the rim, I measured it, it's definitely more than 3 inches long. So I would go with a relatively largish or medium-sized cup, and I'm just going to start tracing. So 3 circles. And fairly light, okay, don't press too hard with your pencil. You just want to trace some guiding lines to place your shapes. I want it to overlap too, so let me put, here's one in front, let me put one behind it. So what I'm going to do is start where the outline of my first shape is, and I'm going to go partially around and then stop around where this starts, okay? So now I have 2 overlapping shapes. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm going to be outlining with some oil pastel, so it'll be darker. All right? And then, you know what I'm going to think I'm going to do? I'm going to put maybe, I think I want to put this overlapping in front. So if this is overlapping in front, you're going to see that I might need to erase this bit. I'm not sure the eraser is going to work, but this part's I'm going to erase. Okay, now I'm going to start tracing my shapes. Now it looks like I could do 3 oranges, but I do want my I feel like making apple shapes today. So I'm going to be changing the shape of my round circles to look more like apples. So this one I think I'm going to have standing up a little more. So the circles help me to figure out how big I want my fruit. Okay, so there's my first apple, and then this one I think I want lying on its side. How about that? Okay, so that's my second apple shape, and I'm going to stop. See, this is where my last circle begins, and I'm going to make this apple, I'll have this standing straight up too. Okay, so apples, or like many fruits, are not perfectly shaped. They're not all the same. And then don't forget the little stem. So just a line. Maybe I'll squeeze in one right here, okay? And then one here. So those are my little stems. And then now I'm going to draw an excuse me line to show where the wall and the table kind of come together. So here's one line. I think it's going to be a little lower, not quite in the middle. I mean, you could do that too, but I want it to be more interesting. So I'm going to have my line sort of below halfway. So here's my excuse me line. I'm going to trace my finger across, and then the line continues right about here, I think. All right, so here's my basic outline. Now what I'm going to do is start coloring my apples. So apples, as you know, they can come in yellow, green, red, and anything in between. So if I take my colors out, I've got some red orange, some dark orange. Here's my red, here's my yellow orange, that would be nice. Here's my greens. And then, I know this might seem unusual, but I'm going to take out my blue and some purple. So practically all the colors that are in my box, okay? I've got some colors here too. I took them out, but I'm not sure I'll use them. I may not. So let me make this apple, I'll just start shading in some red orange. Right, and maybe I'll add some light orange. Now look how these colors blend. Isn't that gorgeous? I love mixing colors. So as you're coloring, you may end up smudging some of that black outline. Don't worry about that. We're going to go back and clean it up some, okay? So don't worry. I'm trying to stay clear of that black, but I'm not always succeeding. I'm smudging it a little bit, and that's okay. Okay, now let me get some red in there too. Just be like that. So I'm mixing different colors, layers of color. Maybe this one I'm going to make green, a light green. And then maybe I'll add some yellow. So that's a yellow-green apple. Okay, that's really nice. And maybe I'll make this one red again. But maybe I'll try to make this a different shade of red than the first one. How about that? Maybe this will be a darker red. Cezanne, by the way, the artist I showed you with all those fruit still life paintings, sometimes he would take so long painting the fruit that they would start rotting. They would just sit out there for days and days, and then they would go bad. It's amazing how long people can take or spend with doing their art. Let me make some purple blended in here. Ooh, that's nice. You could do this with crayons too, by the way, and colored pencil. Of course, if I was using colored pencil for this, it would take me a lot longer to color. Okay, so now that I've got my apples shaded, I'm going to put these back in the box. I feel like making some patterns in my walls. So far it's looking okay. Let me play around with these a bit today. So Okay, so think geometric shapes if you can, and different line qualities. It could be zigzag, they could be wavy, they could be straight. You could do stripes, you could do rhombus or diamond shapes, circles, dots, any kind of patterns you like. And I'm going to start with the wall. So let me do some waves. Okay. So just doing waves back here. Kind of some excuse me lines with the wavy lines too. So there that's the start of my pattern with the waves. Let me put some, how about some dark blue? I'll do some circles all the way across. Just keep going. I think I want some dots on the very top too. So I'll make a row or circles along the top of my wall. I really want this wall to stand out some more, so maybe I'm going to take like a green and color in these dots. Make it really colorful. I'm already starting to think about what I'm going to do with this tablecloth. If my wall looks like this, then I want to find a way to make my tablecloth look very different from the wall. So I'm going to pick a different color, and maybe I'm just going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to color the whole thing, but I'm doing it lightly because my plan is, I'm thinking ahead, right? As an artist, I'm thinking ahead. My plan is to add some patterning to this color on top of it. So I'm not really coloring it all the way because I want some space on my paper to add some more line and pattern work. So I'm just kind of skimming, lightly skimming my table. So now that I have that going on, I'm going to add some detailed work. So let me find I want to find some purple. Okay, here's my purple. I think I feel like making some stripes. Yes, I like that. So there are my stripes. I could do a checker pattern too, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Maybe I'll make these stripes a little thicker. So I'm doubling the thickness of these lines. And you know what? I kind of like that. I wonder if there's any, look, there's some pink here. Maybe I'm going to add some pink to the side of these lines. That looks really nice. Just to add a little more interest, all right? I want this to be really colorful. Okay, and I think I want to add a little, what can I do here? Oh, maybe, you know what? I'm going to add some triangles in between. I just thought of doing this, just to add even a little more detailed work. Okay, So, oops, this is moving. Triangles and circles going across my wall. Nice geometric shapes. All right. So I'm going to add a little bit more here. I think, and I don't want to forget, I need to, I'm just double checking what I need to do before I close this up. I need to clean up the outline of my apples, right? So I'm going to take my black again and just go over it one more time. Oh, that already looks so much better. So I'm pressing pretty firmly with my pastel. Remove that wrapper. Clean that up. Just go over that one more time. All right. So there you have it. This is my still life inspired by Paul Cezanne. And I hope you give this a try and show me what you come up with, Room 17. I love seeing your artwork. I love when you take pictures and send them to me. So I hope you have fun with this, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, Room 17.